going to turn this a little bit. All right. So here, let me close this. We'll open it this side a little bit. That's unfortunately, I think we'll have to, there we go. We'll leave it like that. All right. So I've got some questions here, comments. Tony está preguntando sobre comer la fruta o qué puede ser. Sí, sí, Tony. Todos pueden comer frutas, no importa. Tony is asking about people who have a fatty liver. Can they eat fruit? And absolutely, there's nothing easier for the body to eat. Fruit is our natural food. It's the very best thing for us. And regardless of what's going on, everyone should be able to eat fruit with no problem. Okay? No, claro que sí. All right. Thank you so much, Jared. I hope you have a fantastic weekend yourself. All right. I've got lots of questions here, comments here on YouTube. Let me go over there. And we'll start with the flyer. Hi, Loren. Do you know what happened to me and if it's expected to have ear pain after sometimes swimming or surfing? Thanks. Well, why it happened and is it expected? Well, it's not expected, but it does happen sometimes. And it happens because there is some infection in the ear canal. And so some people are prone to these and get them regularly, and some people never experience them. I swam competitively when I was younger for 18 years, and there were a lot of people that had those. And obviously, people that swim competitively, most of us, most people who have ear infections probably wouldn't choose to swim competitively. I've never experienced that, and I've spent a lot of time in the water, ocean, sea, lakes, rivers, and when I was younger, countless hours in pools with no problem. But it's something that some people are prone to, and it may be something you'll have to deal with. Yeah. Now, I don't know if this may have something to do with earwax, buildup of stuff that makes it more likely, makes you perhaps more prone to having this kind of issue. That I don't know, but that makes sense to me that it might be. And so this may be a place to investigate, something to think about and pay attention to. Okay. Ito 10 says, hi, Loren, I have a black spot on the tooth and soon I will fast with you. Do you recommend going to the dentist first or can it work out fasting? Thanks. Well, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to go to the dentist to find out what's going on there, see what's happening. And if it's something the dentist can resolve, I would probably go ahead and let them resolve that if possible. It may well be that it's not something that the dentist can resolve, but it's worth checking out before fasting with us. Okay. Jeffrey Samansky says, happy Freaky Friday the 13th. I recently got shingles. I tried fasting for 4 days, but the pain got so bad I had to go to a doctor for some pills. Have you ever treated shingles? Yes, many times. Can be very painful, as you know, Jeffrey, but there's no better way. I mean, again, the drugs only suppress the symptoms and don't actually do anything about the underlying issue. And so if it were, what I would do if I were you, even now, if you're feeling better now, that's great, but you probably haven't really resolved the issue. What you've done is suppress the symptoms. So what you're going to want to do now, if you can, is when you're able to, is fast, so your body can actually complete the healing process. Okay? Because taking medication never heals the body. You might heal in spite of the medication, but you never heal because of it, and it can actually prevent real health and healing from occurring. Okay, because you're just suppressing symptoms with a toxic substance. So this would probably be a good time once you're feeling better to fast, to allow your body to actually resolve the underlying issue, whatever that is. I hope that makes sense. All right. Um, oops. Hang on here. Just waving to some folks here on Instagram. Tessa asks if I would ever donate blood. I used to donate blood all the time. I don't remember now because it's been a long time what the regular interval was. I mean, there was like a maximum number of, a minimum amount of time that they would ask you to wait between donating blood, between going. And so I would go whenever I was able to, way back when. I would donate blood in specific circumstances. It's not particularly harmful. I mean, it's a bit of a burden on the body. The body has to then make blood to replace it. But that's not a terrible burden on the body, and I'd be happy to help other people by doing that. It's not something I've done regularly, and I don't really know. I mean, I guess I could probably go to the local hospital to do it here. I'm not sure if I'd want to, if I trust that whole process in this country. But and since you're talking about it, if you're ever in a situation where you might need blood, let's say you've got some unavoidable major surgery, the ideal thing to do would be to have your own blood held in storage for you to replace the blood that you need. Because blood that comes from blood banks is often quite dirty, toxic. They don't test it for all kinds of things. And so it's really quite an ugly situation. Blood banks actually pay money in poor neighborhoods for blood, and they're also often getting blood from people who are, junkies. I mean, they're addicted to hard drugs, and they will have those substances in their bloodstream. They could have all kinds of things that they could be passing on to you. So you want to be really careful about getting blood from a stranger. Obviously, there are situations where you might not have a choice, but it would be useful to, if you know you're going to need blood, to have your own already waiting for you. Okay, that would be better than relying on a stranger. Smile You Dance, hello there. Good to see you. Tony, muchas gracias. Saludos de Panamá. Con mucho gusto, amigo. Marita, hello there. Deborah, hola. ¿Cómo está? Espero que está bien. Mañana. Muchas gracias, amiga. Deborah is saying in Spanish, it's a beautiful shirt. And this was actually a gift. Some of you may know I just had my 61st birthday just over a week ago. Well, now 12 days ago, actually, almost 2 weeks ago. It goes fast. It goes fast. So almost 2 weeks ago, this was a birthday present from one of my team members and dear friends. We're actually wearing it for the first time. It's a beautiful shirt. The sleeves were way too long, and the shirt itself was quite long. It fit me here, but I had a seamstress shorten the sleeves and shorten the length of the shirt. And I just picked it up yesterday. And so I have my first chance to wear it today. Okay, let's see. Okay, someone's asking, by the way, I see we have a super chat, and I'll be right back for that super chat in just one moment. But I've got a question here. Please suggest to me nasal polyp solution, a solution for nasal polyps. Well, again, I mean, the solution for anything, right? If you're new to me, you want to understand that first of all, I've been a health coach for more than 30 years. I have worked with more than 15,000 clients directly, one-on-one. I see now around 500 clients a year still. I saw more years ago, but my wellness center is no longer open 12 months of the year. We operate in 10-week sessions, and then we take breaks. So I work with people all the time online, but again, we don't have people at the center now. As of this morning, the last person's gone. Kay Fellini, I'm going to come back to your question. You know what? I'll go ahead and because it's a simple one. The question is, what do you think about passion fruit seeds? Are they safe to eat and digest? It's perfectly fine to swallow passion fruit seeds. They run right through your system. You can't digest them. You don't want to chew fruit seeds up. If you chew a few accidentally, it's no problem. Hey, Tom, good to see you. Andre, nice to see you here. Maria. Okay, but it's perfectly okay if you swallow a few, but I wouldn't chew them up on purpose because most fruit seeds are mildly toxic, and they're toxic because the fruiting plant puts a lot of energy into making fruit for the specific purpose of getting those seeds distributed to create more, to propagate itself, to make more copies of itself. So the last thing it wants you to do is to eat the seeds. Okay, so don't eat the seeds. Hello, Rebecca. Good to see you. All right. I've got a super chat here. I'm going to scroll down and take that question. And that's Jean-Sebastian Delcourt says, first of all, thank you so much for the contribution. Jean-Sebastian says, Jordan Peterson says he only eats beef in his diet and says he feels immensely better both physically and psychologically. Any thoughts? Yeah, Jordan Peterson is a sick man. I mean, physically, he's not well. I'm glad he feels better, but he's been quite ill over the last few years, and it's likely that his diet is contributing to his illness and most likely will contribute to his early premature death. Meat eaters have higher instances of morbidity and mortality from all causes and have much higher rates of cancer, heart disease, bowel disease, dementia, and many other things. The more protein we consume, the faster we age and die. Andre Jasbanovic, I apologize, Andre, if I'm murdering your name, says, where can I sign up for the online fast? I just saw that scroll by. Go to tanglewoodwellnesscenter.com and go to fasting and then go to remote fasting and click there. And depending on where you are, I do 3 calls every day with groups of people in this hemisphere, in the Americas, in Europe, and then in Asia. So I have 3 different sort of groups of time zones. I mean, I have people on each call in different time zones, but they're all within a couple hours of each other, as opposed to having someone, on the call at midnight and someone else is at 10 in the morning. So I do calls at different times to accommodate different people. Depending on where you are, we might be able to accommodate you right away, but it typically takes at least 3 to 5 days to get you into the process. And we need to have electrolytes to make sure you're safe. We want electrolytes tested before you start. So what you want to do, if you know when you want to start and you want to start soon, you probably want to get yourself registered as soon as possible. Okay, the sooner the better, because my schedule's often full and you may have to wait, and it will take some time, at least a few days, to get your test results and to get you into the process. So you want to get your time reserved. Okay, so you can register at the web page, and then we can talk about your starting date once we have everything we need from you. Okay, and so nasal polyps. I don't think I finished that, did I? What I was saying was, I'm going to come back to Jordan Peterson. I'm sorry, sort of jumping around here, but nasal polyps, I realized I didn't finish the answer. And what I've done for the last 26 plus years is guided many thousands of people through water-only fasts, averaging 26 days. So we're not talking about a 2-day, 3-day, 7-day process. This is, generally speaking, 21 to 30 days. Each session we have, I think this session we had 5 or 6 people who came to do a 42-day fast or longer. Not all of them actually made it that long, but most of them did at least 30 days or longer. And it's an amazing, life-changing thing that happens when you give your body the chance to cleanse and heal. Again, understand that healing is a biological process. So, I am not about herbs and supplements and superfoods and smoothies. And I'm not saying that those things never, ever have a place. Certainly there are times where someone needs something immediately and needs to have the most efficient way to get it into the body. And that might be by taking a supplement or by using a juice. For instance, I have someone who I instructed a couple days ago to start using celery juice, not because I think it's generally a good idea, but because this person is low in sodium and chloride and is scheduled to begin fasting soon and needs to get those levels up to be safe. Hey, Sherry, good to see you. Okay. And so fasting is the best way to heal anything, because not because it heals you, but because fasting allows the body complete physiological rest. We can't rest completely if we're processing food. Processing food takes more energy than anything else we do. So when the body needs to heal itself, the most important thing we can do is to give it complete rest, doing as little as possible, right? Resting with eyes closed as much as you possibly can, sipping the water you need. And at Tanglewood, as you know, we have amazing spring water, but you want to sip, clean water, not distilled water, by the way, not ever distilled water. That's garbage. But spring water, if possible, reverse osmosis water, if you can't get good. If you don't have good spring water available to you from nature, the next best thing would be to buy bottled spring water in glass bottles, if you can get that. Okay. Here in Costa Rica, it's difficult to get most of the time. I know of a few places that sell it in glass bottles, but not very many. All right. So fasting is the most efficient way to get out of your body's way so that it can cleanse and heal. I hope that helps you. And we're going to come back. You're very welcome. Thank you, Andre. It's very kind of you. I appreciate that very much. All right. So let me come back, and I apologize, Jean-Sebastian, to your question here. I'm not sure if there's really much more to say, but it's understand that everything is relative. So people ask all the time, well, if fruit is bad, if meat is bad for you, how can Jordan Peterson and his daughter and many other people feel better eating a meat-based diet, or in the case, exclusively meat? How can he feel better if it's bad for you? And the answer is very simple. And I'm going to illustrate it for you right now. Okay. So if I punch myself in the arm hard, okay, and then I stop punching myself and start slapping myself instead, I'm probably going to start to feel better when I'm slapping myself. Is that because slapping myself is good for me? No, it's less bad for me than punching myself hard. Okay. I'm not doing the same damage that I was doing punching myself when I'm just slapping myself. All right. And so that's what's going on. Meat-based diet's a terrible diet, but it's better than a diet of garbage processed foods that most people consume. I mean, the average North American now gets something like 61% of their calories from ultra-processed foods. And a recent study says that younger people tend to get upwards of 67% of their calories from ultra-processed foods. This is garbage. It's complete garbage. So if you give up all the processed crap, but are still eating stuff that's not good for you, you're going to get better. Okay, a meat-based diet's a terrible diet for the human body. I mean, again, Jordan Peterson's an intelligent guy, but I guess he hasn't really paid any attention to anatomy or physiology, because the anatomy and physiology of any animal that eats animals in nature is completely different from the anatomy and physiology of humans. There's virtually nothing in common. I mean, we have mouths, we have stomachs, but for instance, the way the jaws work of a carnivore, they go up and down only, because they rip the flesh off the bone, swallow it whole, and digest it that way. Okay. Again, I mentioned just a little while ago, someone asked about passion fruit. Is it okay to eat the passion fruit seeds? It is. If you swallow them whole, you cannot digest them. Okay. An animal who is made to digest, bones. Think about a snake. A snake is a carnivore. Some snakes, not all. Snakes are carnivores, and they'll eat the entire animal. Right? If you've never seen this, I mean, if you can probably go to YouTube and search for snakes eating prey. Some snakes eat snakes. I once came across here in Costa Rica Someone had taken me to show me a piece of land, and I saw a snake that had another snake hanging out of its mouth. I mean, it had like the snake was halfway down, inside the other snake. The snake that was being eaten was probably, I want to say, at least 30 inches long, maybe 3 feet long. And that is what? 75 to 90 centimeters, somewhere in that range. Okay, and the snake that was eating it was longer, and it had about half of the snake, because you could see how far in the snake was. You could see the lump inside the other snake, but the snake that was eating the other one, and you can see the same thing with mice and rats and all kinds of things, whatever their prey is, they digest the entire animal, bones and all. You can't digest a single passion fruit seed, a single kernel of corn, a single sunflower seed if you don't chew it up. They don't chew anything up. Carnivores don't chew anything up. Okay. Now, carnivores, by the way, also have very short, smooth, straight digestive tracts. They have, I mean, so their stomach acid is much stronger. It's 10 times stronger than ours is. Their jaws move only up and down. Ours move side to side so that we can chew things up. They don't do that. People say we have carnivores, canine teeth. Yeah, your canine teeth are not going to bite through the leather hide of an animal. Okay? Remember, leather is animal skin, right? We can't bite through that. Carnivores can. What we do is, these teeth are meant to rip the flesh off of an apple or a pear, not to bite through the skin, the hide of an animal. Okay, again, they have very short, smooth digestive tracts, straight, short, and smooth. So a 500-pound tiger, all right, all cats, all felines are obligate carnivores. They must eat meat, to be healthy. And their digestive tracts are, on a 500-pound tiger, roughly 12 feet long. Yours is roughly 32 feet long. Okay, so more than 2.5, nearly 3 times longer than an animal that is, between 2 and 4 times bigger than you are, depending on your size. I mean, it could be 5 times bigger than some people listing here. If you're 100 pounds, it's 5 times your size. And yet your digestive tract is nearly 3 times longer. That's because carnivores need to eat and expel their waste immediately. Okay, that doesn't happen in a human body. In fact, anything that isn't high in water and fiber is going to have a very hard time making it through the system. And so some of you have heard me talk about this before, but it was a couple of years ago. Some troll commented on one of my YouTube videos and said something like, you don't look good for your age. Thank you very much. This person looks much better than you do. And there was a link to a video. She was a woman who was about 10 years younger than me and was eating the same diet that Jordan Peterson eats, nothing but meat. And she showed a typical meal. Well, that wasn't true in her case. She showed this typical meal and said, "This is my meal, just meat." Then she said, "This is dessert." And she brings out a whole stick of butter, this long stick of butter. I think it's a 1/4 pound. I mean, I haven't bought butter now in 35 years, but used to buy a box that had 4 sticks in it. I think the box was a pound of butter. So each stick would be a 1/4 pound. I may be wrong about that. But, most of you probably know what a stick of butter looks like, right? It's like that big, by that long, right, square. It's a lot of butter. It's disgusting. I mean, the idea of it's disgusting. But here's the thing, coming back to the topic at hand. She said, I only eliminate once every 10 days or so, 10 to 12 days. But that's because my body is so efficient, it uses everything. Okay, that's absurd. That's absurd. Carnivores eliminate immediately after eating. I mean, within 2 hours, right? You feed your dog, and within a couple hours or less, you take it for a walk or you let it outside because it's got to poop. Okay, because there's a lot of toxic byproducts with a high protein diet, so they get rid of the waste as quickly as they can. We're meant to eat things that are virtually non-toxic, fruits and soft, tender leaves only. And so we don't have to worry about getting that stuff out of the body within a couple of hours. In a healthy human system, it takes 8 to 12 hours to eliminate. Okay. Um, but the average person takes about 4 times longer than that because most people aren't very healthy. But it should be in the body for 8 to 12 hours. That's 4 to 6 times longer, or perhaps 4 to 12 times longer than a carnivore has the stuff in their body. Okay. So again, very, very different. I mean, this woman is setting herself up for serious bowel disease, and Jordan Peterson, if he lives long enough, he'll probably have serious bowel disease as well. Now, you may or may not hear about it. I don't know what he'll choose to share. As a public figure, he may or may not talk about what's going on for him. He probably will. I mean, I'm not suggesting he'll be dishonest or anything, but he may. Who knows? He may decide it's private and doesn't want to share that. Okay, there's more than that. Most carnivores don't see color. They don't need to. They don't need to see color. We see color. Okay, animals that see color. I mean, an eye that sees color. We have rods and cones in the eye, and the cones allow humans to see color. And it's a much more complex eye than an eye that's set up only to see black and white. And so animals that don't need color vision don't have color. It's why go to the trouble of creating that when there's no need for that? I mean, aren't we lucky that we see color, right? The amazing colors of flowers and blue skies, etc. I don't know if animals who don't need flowers, I mean, pollinators like butterflies and moths and bees and wasps and hummingbirds and some other birds and fruit bats, various bats, some of these animals and probably some others. These are all pollinators, and pollinators aren't interested in pollen. They're interested in nectar. Nectar is a sugary substance. It's like a sugary liquid that the flower produces to attract a pollinator. The pollinators are looking for the nectar and moving pollen by accident. I mean, that they're not trying, they don't care about pollinating the flowers. They're just trying to get the nectar. But when they go in to get the nectar, they wind up getting pollen on their bodies, on their feet, on their face, whatever. And then they go to the next flower and they transfer some to the other. And that's sexual reproduction for flowers. And thank God they're doing that, because that's how we get fruit. Fruit occurs when a pollinator pollinates a flower. Now, some plants are self-pollinating, but most require pollination to happen from outside. It can happen by wind, but it can also, pollinators are really, really helpful. We'd be in serious trouble. You might have heard, bees are disappearing, and we're going to be in serious trouble without bees. We need those bees. Okay. So color is one thing that distinguishes us. Vitamin C production. Carnivores Carnivores make vitamin C. They make it in their bodies. Okay, Jordan Peterson, I guarantee he's not just eating meat. He's also taking supplements. He has to, because he can't get everything from meat. There's no vitamin C in meat, and without vitamin C, he would very quickly wind up in serious trouble. In 4 to 6 weeks, he's got scurvy. So if he's literally consuming nothing but meat, he's got to be supplementing. Otherwise, he becomes very ill within a month and a half. And he's been doing this for a while. So I guarantee he's supplementing. Human bodies don't make vitamin C. How come other animals make it and we don't? Well, it's obvious. It's simple. We don't make vitamin C because we don't need to. We're meant to eat fruits and leafy greens, and there's tons of vitamin C in that diet. Why? Again, the body and every organism lives according to something called the law of efficiency. It doesn't make any sense to put energy into creating something that we don't need to create. Okay? And so, again, the fact that who else makes vitamin C? Who else doesn't make vitamin C? Most animals do. So what animals don't make vitamin C? Chimpanzees, bonobos, fruit bats, toucans. Okay, toucans are fruit eaters. All right. So the animals that eat a fruit-based diet also don't make vitamin C. It makes no sense for the body to do the work when it doesn't need to, because we're getting it from our diet. We don't make it. Okay. Uricase is an enzyme. The ASE ending means enzyme. So uricase is an enzyme that breaks down uric acid. We don't make uricase in our bodies. Why not? Because we're meant to eat tiny amounts of protein. Uric acid primarily comes from protein consumption, protein metabolism. So carnivores make uricase. Human beings don't. Okay, I mean, there's so many differences. I would say for a smart guy, he's not that smart. I mean, the truth is, it's not about his intelligence. Maybe it's about his focus. Maybe it's about his willingness, or maybe it's simply that he found something that makes him feel so much better. He hasn't really gone deep enough to understand why he might be hurting himself, even though he feels better. And this is the thing that trips people up. No, but I feel better. It's got to be good for me if I feel better. Well, that's a dangerous line of reasoning. I mean, think about that. Heroin makes you feel better. Okay, does that make it good for you? No. I mean, the medications make people feel better. Does that mean we should all take medications? Of course not. Okay, the objective isn't, I mean, of course we all want to feel well, don't get me wrong. But the question is, why? By what means do we want to feel well? Okay, personally, I have no interest in suppressing symptoms, because suppressing symptoms means I'm preventing my body from cleansing and healing. So instead, I want to feel well because my body has no symptoms, because it's not toxic and therefore not needing to detoxify. Symptoms are evidence the body's cleansing and healing. What we want to do is get the body truly clean, which is what happens with fasting, and then keep it clean and hydrated by eating the diet our bodies were meant for, by sipping enough water. Okay, let's all grab a glass. Right? We get the body clean and hydrated and keep it that way, and then we don't need to get sick. We don't need those symptoms. But if the body needs to detoxify, the last thing we want to do is suppress symptoms, which is what most people do, right? I started off by answering, reading a comment from someone who said, had shingles, I had to take medication. I understand the choice, because it didn't seem like there was another way at the time. But that's never a good idea. It's always, again, sometimes maybe necessary, but always putting you in a situation where your body is unable to do what it needs to do. All right, Smalia Dance says, I want to recommend your videos here in France, but people don't understand English. Can I help you put subtitles in French on your videos on YouTube for them? Well, yes, you could do that, and I appreciate very much your kind offer to do so. But are you aware that YouTube offers, and it's not perfect. Thank you, happy healthy Numi. I appreciate your kind comment there. Understand that although it's not perfect, there's an automatic subtitle function where you can choose the language. They offer pretty much every language. And as long as someone speaks clearly, which I probably don't always do, I do my best to do, but I may not always do. If I'm speaking clearly enough, YouTube does a pretty good job with the subtitles. Not perfect. It's hard to do that perfectly, right? It's happening automatically. But it's pretty good. So you could actually share, you could figure out how to turn that on. I don't personally use it. I don't get a chance to watch many YouTube videos. I don't have much time. But there is a way to turn those on in any language. You can go to my video and look at the bottom. There's somewhere in the bottom of the video. It's not going to show up here in this window. There's some settings where you can click on, and you can find French, and you could share it with people and tell them how to watch it, like on French groups or on your page. Hey, there's some great content here. Here's how you can get French subtitles. And that way you don't have to do all the work of doing it. We started to do that. We started to translate things into Spanish, and then YouTube started offering this subtitle thing. It's been a long time ago now. They've probably been doing it for 5 or 6 years at least. And a lot of people aren't aware of it. So, I get the same question. I've had many people offer to subtitle these videos for me in various languages. And maybe keep a database with subtitles permanently. I don't know that we need to do that. That's a lot of work. I've got 1,000 videos. You could just pick, what you think are the best ones. But I don't think it's really necessary because YouTube does provide the ability to get to watch subtitles with any video. Okay. All right. I hope that helps. Let's see. I see Jared offering saying hello to Sherry, and Sherry saying your patience when explaining this over and over again. Yeah, it's okay. Honestly, I'll tell you, it's funny. Sherry is commenting. Sherry's a dear friend and very kind. Maybe not quite completely honest, but quite kind. No, she's saying I'm very patient because I wind up explaining this over and over again. I have no trouble with that. I'm well aware that there are new people here all the time. There are people that are going to watch that maybe aren't even here now, but may watch a recording of this later that have never seen me before. And I want to answer every question I can. Honestly, I like to say jokingly, tongue in cheek, it's not completely a joke, that impatience is one of my best qualities. I can be a bit impatient sometimes, but I'm never going to be impatient when people are asking me questions here, unless the same person is asking me the same question over and over again. And I get that. I get the same people asking me the same questions over and over again. That I find that frustrating. That's it almost seems like disrespecting, like they're not paying attention. Like I've already told you this. Are you listening? Maybe some people don't have the ability to grasp it, but that I find that a bit frustrating, right? I don't want to. I won't tolerate in teammates someone who asks me the same question over and over again. I had a teammate who left, but who used to do that, the same friggin' questions all the time. Like, really? Like, why do we have to keep doing this? That seems like it should be unnecessary. All right, Trey says, how long should we live in an ideal world eating an ideal diet? In other words, how long can we live? How long should the body be able to survive? And I don't know. There are some scientists who have suggested that because we're replacing our cells all the time, theoretically, we should be able to live indefinitely. But that doesn't happen. And maybe it doesn't happen because we're not in an ideal world. Even in the best of circumstances. I live in a pretty good situation where I've got enough land. There's almost no traffic. There's no industry. There's almost never fires nearby. The air is clean. We have perfect water bubbling out of the ground. We eat organic food. We grow as much as we can ourselves, and are eating high quality food right off the plants, or even if we're buying it, stuff that was picked maybe a week earlier at the most. Whereas I don't know if you're aware of this. If you're buying food from a market in the US or Europe, you're probably eating things that were picked 6 weeks ago on average, okay, from the time you buy them. And then you may not eat them for another week or more. And they're losing value all the time. So eating fresh food is critically important. One of the reasons why I wouldn't consider living anywhere besides the tropics, okay? So if you are paying attention here, it's just something you might want to consider. If you're really committed to your own health and vitality, you need to live in a place where you can get high quality food all the time. And that's the best way to do that is by living in the tropics where we can grow food. So, all right, there's another super chat here. I'm going to scroll down to pick that one up. This is it Blakey? It looks like Blakey. Hi, Blakey. Blakey says, I think I skipped another one. Jean-Sebastian, I'm going to come back to you, Blakey. I'm sorry, but Jean-Sebastian was first. I somehow skipped over this. And he says, I get your answer. Thanks. Also have joint stiffness. What would you recommend? I would recommend fasting. And that can't be too surprising by now because you've been around, Jean-Sebastian. I know you've been here before with me. So again, joint stiffness occurs for various reasons. One of them is toxicity. One of them is dehydration. Fasting allows you to resolve both of these issues more efficiently and effectively than anything else I know of. So if it were me, I'm, fortunate at 61, I have no joint issues whatsoever, and they run in my family. My mother had terrible arthritis from the age of about 35, has been on pain medication. She's now 87. So she's been on pain medication for probably 50 plus years. Okay. My sister, younger sister, already had to have knee replacement surgery. And here I'm the one in the family that was born with a congenital knee problem that started to show up at 18, that prevented me from skiing. When I spent 2 years living in Colorado in the Rocky Mountains, I could see the highest mountain in the U.S., at least in the continental U.S. I'm not sure about other places, Alaska or Hawaii, but the highest in continental U.S. is Pikes Peak, and I could see it from my bedroom window for a whole year. It's a spectacularly beautiful place. I love to ski, but I had to wear braces with metal hinges to support my knees because of this knee defect. That was at 18, 19, and 20. Now at 61, I don't need braces to surf on a surfboard. I don't do a lot of surfing because I don't own a surfboard, and I prefer to body surf. I mean, I just like the fact that I can get there, go in the water, don't have to wax it, clean it, haul it, all that. I'm lazy, to be honest. That's the bottom line. Is it's easier to just use my body, but it's also very cool. I just like the fact that I can surf my body. Okay. So for you, Jean-Sebastian, fast. The first step is to get your body. And if you're coachable and you're willing to take the time, I mean, at least 21 days. I can't say, I don't know how old you are. I don't know what else you've got going on, but fasting at least 21 days with me, if you're coachable, you're going to leave a new person or complete your process if it's a remote process. Remember, folks, you can come work with me in Costa Rica. It's spectacularly beautiful here, or you can work with me remotely. It's up to you. I offer both options. For people that can't travel or, whatever it is, maybe it's economically difficult to come to us. It's less than half the cost. It's about half the cost if you work with me online, and there's no travel expense. And we do a daily group call. We have, you get an email from me, a written message every day to help motivate, educate, and inspire you. You get a daily video, right? And I mean, again, I've got detractors. There are trolls out there who don't like me. There are people who think I'm a bad person, whatever. That's fine. I mean, someone once said, if you're not pissing people off, you're probably not doing your job very well. Because if you're doing your job very well, if you're an agent of change in any way, and I certainly am. I've been telling people for 30 years to get away from medicine and let the body heal itself, because medicine doesn't help, doesn't work. If you're an agent of change and you're not pissing people off, then you're probably not really changing as much as you think, helping as much as you think you are. A lot of people love my work, and we just had a whole group of people leave us last week, and the comments were amazing. The guy leaving, who left this morning, he's already gone, said to me yesterday afternoon, he said, I know you're busy in the morning. If I don't see you, I just want you to know this has been an amazing experience. So I really appreciate it. In fact, I'll tell you a little bit about this guy, because, and I don't remember, I may have shared this last week. I apologize. Although I don't think I couldn't make YouTube work last week. I think that was last week, if I remember correctly. So this is a guy, we were doing one of our daily check-ins. When he was fasting with me at the center, every day we sit down and talk about how you're feeling, what's going on, what your vital signs are, what they mean, right? How much water you're getting and how much you need based on your vital signs. It's based on your vital signs. Okay, I'm interpreting your vital signs. They tell me if you're getting enough water. We're also measuring your hydration every single day. And so we're talking, and I say to him, I see you're now having 2 bowel movements a day. You should probably be having 3 or 4 by now. And he said, right, but this is amazing. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, if you don't remember from my form, in the 10 years prior to coming to Tanglewood for this fast, I had roughly 150 bowel movements. In other words, roughly 15 per year, or 1 every 3.5 weeks. That was his average elimination. And that was always with an enema. Now, when he left us having 4 bowel movements every day with no enemas. Okay, huge shift. Huge shift. Okay. He said, this has been an amazing thing. All right. I've got Blakey and I have another super chat and I see we're down to 5 minutes. It's funny. I was thinking I might have to cut this one short today because I have this meeting and I'm going to have to get off to it in just a minute. But let's see. Blakey says, hi, Loren. Hope all's well. Can fasting reverse or halt the development of early onset Alzheimer's, dementia? I'm thinking for my mother. First of all, thank you, Blakey, for the contribution. I appreciate that very much. The answer is, I don't know. And I think the answer is yes, but it has to be, it's conditional because it depends on how old is your mother? What's her diet been like? How much, and it's not, answering the questions won't tell me whether the answer is yes or no. Answering the point is that each body is different. And so can the body reverse dementia? I believe it can. We've seen amazing things happen, but we don't have a lot of experience with this. It's, with hypertension, we have never had anybody fail to see a huge decrease. In fact, we've only had one person out of like 600 plus who didn't get their blood pressure below normal. Okay, from hypertensive to below normal, no need for medication. Every person. One guy wound up with his blood pressure, it had been 176 over I forget what, and when he completed it was 126. So it dropped at 50 points. That's like life-changing. This was a guy who was going to have a heart attack or stroke any minute because hypertension is one of the primary indicators for that. He was in his late 70s, mid to late 70s, and was in deep danger of dying any moment from a heart attack or stroke. He eliminated that possibility by fasting long enough and properly. My guess is, yes, we can affect dementia, but how much, I don't know. And each case is different. And honestly, I don't see any downside. The question is, would your mother be willing to go through it? And I guess if it's far enough along, it might be difficult to do with some people. But if your mother is in a position where she can make choices and is willing to do it, I don't see any way that it wouldn't help her. I think it could only help. Okay, that's my opinion. So Urate Grin, I'm going to come back to you from Lithuania. I'm going to come back to you, excuse me, because I have one more super chat here. It's Martha, who shows up virtually every single week. I think Martha might have missed a couple weeks, but I'm doing this now for, I think, 6 years roughly every week. And Martha's almost always here. And Martha says, first of all, has made a $35 contribution. Thank you so much. And says, I'm happy to start my weekend with your chat. You give so much of your time and energy to us. Thank you, Loren. You are very, very welcome, Martha. The funny thing is, I really love doing this. I feel like I feel so incredibly grateful and fortunate that I found my mission. My mission is to share this information. I came to these realizations, not all of them. I've learned things along the way and expanded my knowledge, of course, with a lot of experience now over the last 30 years. But I'm 61 now. At 15, I started studying nutrition. I became interested in nutrition and began studying at 15. At 26, I healed myself 35 years ago when medicine had failed me terribly, and went from being the sickest person I knew my own age, around my own age, to being one of the healthiest people I know. And I've had this passion to share this information because it's given me freedom that most people don't have. A lot of people, a lot of my contemporaries are in pain, or there's issues, they have limitations. And although I've been injured many times, I do think, I still, I ride motorcycles and I have a quadricycle, which I've rode a couple times. Actually, I've rolled this one once and another one once. Rock climbing, and I've slammed into cliffs, and I surf and body surf, and I've been slammed by waves, and mountain biking, various things. Stupid things like falling off a wall, and etc. I've broken bones and I've injured myself many times, but my body heals. It recovers quickly and powerfully, and I'm still able to use it the way I want to, where a lot of people I know no longer can do that. And that's a shame. That's a shame. I mean, I don't, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I would say, um, you want to be physically able as long as possible. So I am super, super grateful to be able to share and to share regularly. And I see it's time for my next call. So the meeting I thought would be here at half an hour ago, they didn't show. If they show now, they're going to have to wait till my call is over. But because it's almost time, I'm going to come back to your question, Jarati Grin. But before I do, let me just say, because I'm going to have to jump off soon, if you are here and you think this is valuable, I'm going to ask you to do a couple things, if you would, please. One, give it a like or a thumbs up. I see there's 42 people and 18 thumbs up here on YouTube. Really? The rest of you don't think so? Maybe you just haven't thought about it. Please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Give it a like if you're on Instagram, if you think this is valuable content. That helps me with ratings when there are more likes and thumbs up. So if you think this is beneficial, please go ahead and do that. Don't forget, you can share this broadcast. Okay, there's a link. You can share the link with other people. Okay, I think a lot of people would benefit from hearing this content. Not everyone's going to be open to it, obviously, but those people who are, and maybe people who aren't too. I mean, I would share with everyone personally. That's my goal. And some people are going to go, that's crazy. And then the next time they hear it, they might go, okay, that sounds familiar. And the next time that's the way it works. We have to expose people sometimes to things many times. Okay. So please consider sharing this and letting other people know. I'm here all the time. I'd be happy to see more and more people participating and getting this information. So, all right. There was a question here on Instagram I'm going to come to. I've been putting off for a while, just because I was busy with the super chats. But it says, hello from Lithuania. Thank you for what you do. Water fasting is one of the most powerful tools to boost health up. Okay, you know what? It wasn't even a question. It was just a statement. Thank you so much for your comments. I appreciate that. So, folks, I'm going to have to leave you here. If I haven't had a chance, I see there's lots more comments and questions. I apologize. I don't have time to get to them all. If you want to be sure I get to yours, come to YouTube and do a super chat, and that guarantees that I'll answer your question. Happy Healthy to me. Do you agree spending too much time tapped in online is detrimental to our health, especially for children? Mental health cases going up, which affects health. Absolutely. There's no question about it. I mean, aside from the fact that there's all kinds of terrible content out there, which is damaging people, harmful to people, especially children, it's also true that just being exposed to the radiation. Now, you can minimize it, and there's a couple things you can do. I'm sitting here in front of two devices, not touching them very often, and so I'm not so close. And it's different if I'm actually working on my laptop where my hands are on it. If you're working on it on a computer, a laptop has much less radiation than a desktop computer. And again, maybe it's changed as things get better. Maybe there's less, but there's always going to be less radiation from a laptop than there is from a desktop computer. If you're working on a laptop, unplug it. The best thing to do is to charge it up when you're not using it, and then to unplug it when you are using it. Because if it's plugged into the wall, there's more radiation. Okay, it's more harmful to you. So much better to be using it on battery power. So I'm late. I'm now 5 minutes late. And is there a question of, is it possible to overfeed? Yeah, absolutely. Eat until you're satisfied. Eat when you're hungry. Stop when you feel satisfied. Okay. Don't worry about calories. Just listen to your body. Okay. That's all you need to do. All right, folks, I've got to run. It's been a real pleasure being here with you. I hope you have a fantastic weekend and next week, and I'll be back on Friday. If you speak Spanish or know someone who does, I'm live every Saturday in Spanish. Actually, ironically, tomorrow, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. I've got some things that I couldn't really shift the schedule of, and that that come up and have come up. So I won't be here this time tomorrow in Spanish, but I'll be back next weekend, and I'll definitely be here in English next Friday and back in Spanish next Friday as well. Okay, have a fantastic weekend. I will see you soon. I'm glad to spend this time with you and hope you take great care of yourself and make excellent decisions. Bye-bye.